Your product or service is near completion and you've thought before about the sales letter, but it's now time for you to hire a copywriter. You understand that you need a specialist who will make the best impression for your product to your potential customers and going to get you the most sales. This is a critical step, and your quest for a copywriter can go smoothly or it can be a total nightmare. I just hope that this video will help to answer some of the questions that you have with regard to working with a copywriter, and I hope that it would help your dream come true. Now, one of the most difficult aspects of giving your copywriting assignment over to someone else is your fear of their lack of commitment to your product or service. You have perhaps conceptualized the product, you have worked with the developers, and finally now you have given it birth, so to speak. And the hardest step is now to give your baby over to another for special care. Now, traditionally, I find that copywriters have never gotten the kind of respect that their professions, that other professionals receive. For example, there aren't many people who would argue with their mechanic or their doctors, but I find that everyone seems to have a better idea than their copywriters. Everyone seems to think that writing is easy until they have to do it for themselves. The key here then is to give your copywriter the room and the freedom to work. You may know your product best, but your copywriter knows how to sell that product better than you do. This is the reason why you sought him out in the first place. So always try and hire a copywriter who has experience in your market, in your product category, and then just simply stand back and give the copywriter room to do his work. You should have an opportunity at some point in the process to review the work, to make suggestions, but always take the copywriter's suggestions seriously as you would take that of any other professional. Samples of the copywriter's work should be available for your review, but the assignment is different, so you can only get a feel for the writing style in this case. So you're not going to find sales that exactly meet your requirements, but you can get a sense of the style of the writer by reviewing other sales letter that he or she has written. So go with your gut feeling, and if the copywriter is familiar with your industry, the jargon, the language of your product category, then your customers will be better able to identify with this style of writing. Because the copywriter would appear to be a part of the group, and this is why you should look for the specialists in your product market. At the same time, remember that copywriting is copywriting. So any copywriter who is worth his salt, in my opinion, should be able to write for any market. Now, there are cases, however, where maybe technical knowledge in a highly specialized field will give one copywriter the edge over another. After you are satisfied, however, with the sample work, then you should be sure that you understand his fee rate. This is something that should be stated right up front and not hidden in some very fine print. In fact, if you cannot afford the rates of the copywriter, it's best to find another copywriter instead. You see, most professionals will give you less than their best if you try to negotiate downwards, their price or their fees. In other words, you normally get what you pay for. Again, you should also find out if the copywriter has any other type of, done any other type of writing. For example, has he published a book, done articles in professional magazines or newspapers? You see, copywriting, like any other type of writing, involves the ability to communicate clearly using words. So if your copywriter has other writing experiences, then this will be a plus for you. Now, there are a few people who will call on a copywriter and try to milk him for all he is worth. These business owners are not normally interested in his services or intend to hire him, but would like to get just free consultation. Just a little warning here, and I'd like you to know that most copywriters are aware of these freebie seekers. So if you're not serious about hiring a copywriter, you should, respect that person's time. This is the ethical thing to do, in my opinion. I've often had potential clients who will send information for me to look over, materials to read, and they might ask my opinion on different aspects of their business. Then they go and hire another writer, or maybe not at all. Well, this was before I recognized the trend, and I started simply to filter out these freeloaders by asking for a down payment before I can give any kind of a, free consultation. Now, here are some other tips on working with a copywriter. Number one, you should provide complete information about your product or service. I would normally ask my clients to fill out a questionnaire before I can start working on their copy. The purpose of this questionnaire is to get the client focused on what they are really selling, and also to provide enough or ample information for me to start my research with, or to base my research from. Now, there is no substitute to product knowledge when you are selling anything. And so a copywriter can never know too much or have too much information on a product that he's trying to sell. Usually, the more you tell, as they say, the more you sell. Number two, always be sure that you understand what you are paying for. So, get it in writing if necessary. It is important for you to know both the cost and what exactly you are paying for before the project starts, not at the end, when it will be too late at that point. Some copywriters work by the hour, but personally I prefer to work on a flat fee basis, so the business owner would know what the cost is going to be for the project up front. And so I would therefore tell my clients that this letter will cost, X amount of dollars and require 50% down payment and the other 50% at the presentation of my first draft. Now, if I work by the hour, there may be surprises at the end. But I find that when I give a flat quote, the fee is known upfront, and I know many people prefer the flat fee structure. Number three, give the copywriter his space to work, and I mentioned this before. If you are promised the sales copies, for example, in 3 weeks, don't call or write in 2 weeks to find out how he's getting along. Writing is already mentally taxing exercise, so the added pressure of your frequent inquiries will not help at all. In fact, the way in which I write is that I take 80% of the time to think and to plan, and only about 20% of the time to actually do the actual writing. So if you were to call me, say, halfway through the time period that I promised you the copy, the answer will be that I haven't written anything as yet. So remember that you are involved in a partnership with your copywriter, so you will want to keep this relationship as smooth as possible. Remember that the copywriter is trying to make your business money, not to take your money from you, at least hopefully. But I speak for myself here, but I think that most ethical copywriters will say the same, that I get greater satisfaction from knowing that my sales copy made my clients a lot of money, rather than knowing that I made a lot of money from my client. Now, because copywriting is a creative process, there is a lot of personal pride that goes into every piece that a writer puts out.